She was the most beautiful woman I have ever seen and probably ever will see.
She was remarkably intelligent and remarkably energetic.
She was clearly a unique film star, but she was a very difficult lady. She had these periods of real kind of madness.
All these people, all going somewhere. Why do they trouble? You can't escape from yourself.
Vivien Leigh was one of our greatest film stars. Her Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind remains an iconic image to this day. But her bittersweet life was more turbulent and dramatic than the plot of Gone with the Wind itself. Her life began in India, where she was born to Gertrude and Ernest Hartley. This rare home movie footage shows how Vivien played to the camera from an early age. At the age of 6, she was separated from her parents and sent to London to a boarding school in Roehampton. She was to remain rooted in and around London for the rest of her life.
She was an only child. She didn't see her parents for very long periods, and during the holidays she would perhaps go off to some obscure relation somewhere. So she was very much left to her own devices, and you can't help feeling rather sorry for her at that age.
A lot of people who've been to boarding school, all our parents were abroad, I think we take to the theatre. It provides you with a family of a sort. It's also how you get through your childhood. I think it's like clowning. And I suppose the clowning then turns into going on stage.
In March of 1932, she met a barrister, Lee Holman. By December of the same year, they were married.
She thought that by leaving home and by becoming a housewife, becoming his wife, and that would be a satisfying escape from home into a bright new world, but it wasn't quite enough.
Vivien had blossomed into a rare beauty and was turning the heads of all of those who met her. She took up acting and pursued her career with determination. In 1933, she gave birth to a daughter, Suzanne.
Even Vivien would admit that she was by no means a good mother at all. She almost gave birth to a child without any of the normal maternal instincts being sort of engaged.
In 1936, she embarked on a passionate love affair with the dashing actor Laurence Olivier. Cast opposite each other in Fire Over England, they played out their affair both on and off the set.
I understand very well. Young loyalty is asked to pay for everyone's mistakes. Well, I won't let you. Listen, if the Queen sends you home in disgrace, I'll come with you and be disgraced too.
The interesting thing about Fire Over England was that they were, in a sense, almost acting on screen what they were going through privately.
Olivier was married to the actress Jill Esmond, who was about to give birth to his son Tarquin.
Vivien always covered herself with dense cascades of perfume. And when my birth started, my mother rang the studio and said it started. And they had been in a clinch scene on set, as well as elsewhere, I'm sure. And, of course, Vivien, all her scent was on him, and my mother was giving birth to me. It must have been about the most cruel way of giving birth to the child of the man you're married to.
They were Scott Fitzgerald's beautiful people. Attractiveness is a human quality that helps tremendously in the theatre and in television and in films. And I mean, if you've got a talent that matches it, I mean, it's absolutely galvanic.
She looked absolutely ravishing, and she had a kind of controlled sexiness, which was far sexier than anything that the Americans at that time were doing.
Because although she was a ravishingly beautiful woman, she always felt that her beauty was a handicap, that people only saw the beauty and they neglected the talent when they looked at her.
In 1937, Vivien left Lee Holman for Olivier. Deeply in love, they moved into a charming cottage in Chelsea and set about making a home together. In 1938, Olivier set sail for America to film Wuthering Heights. Vivien swiftly followed him, determined to get an audition for Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind.
The prudishness of Hollywood at that time demanded that they be perceived as having separate residences. Of course they didn't. And the secrecy added to the sort of magic. And one tired old agent went to see them one weekend, and he said, God, even the front door makes me feel sexy. Even makes me want to have my wife.
Against all the odds, Vivien landed the plum role of the century, Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind.
I think he was thrilled she got the part. It was the most sought-after part ever. And she knew she was going to get it. She absolutely knew. Nobody else thought so. She said, you'll see, I'll get it.
Vivien was headstrong. She acted on impulse. She had no sense of consequence, which is what exactly is done by Scarlett O'Hara in the book and in the film. She goes out of her way at whatever cost to herself and others to get what she wants. And if she has to cry over it, well, she'll cry tomorrow, for tomorrow is another day.
Hollywood comes on Wings of the Wind to Atlanta, Georgia, for the event all Dixie, indeed all America, has been waiting for, the world premiere of the film of Gone with the Wind.
Vivien had endured long, hot filming days on a film that was beset with problems. But Gone with the Wind lived up to its hype and was a roaring success. It remains the biggest grossing film of all time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've spent quite a good deal of my time on Peachtree Street this year. And now that I'm here, it feels just as if I were coming home.
She made so little money that it's almost facetious and a bad joke. She was paid £5,000. She worked, she told me, on an average of 16 hours a day for 6 days a week. They had 5 directors on the film, which meant that again and again they had to go over stuff which had been done before. And what she got out of it was £5,000, which by today's standards would pay for 2 of the assistants of Julia Roberts for a day.
Vivien Leigh was the first British actress to win an Oscar.
Ladies and gentlemen, please forgive me if my words are inadequate in thanking you for your very great kindness. If I were to mention all those who have shown me such wonderful generosity through Gone with the Wind, I should have to entertain you with an oration as long as Gone with the Wind itself.
He was seething with jealousy. He was hoping to get the Oscar for playing Heathcliff. And on the way home, he told me he was so desperately jealous, he really wanted to hit her on the head with the Oscar.
In 1940, Larry and Vivien got married in a civil ceremony in California. Meanwhile, war had broken out in Europe,